In the applied of the cranial cavity is written same as we do the applied of the brain, the same T, T and H. And according to this, the trauma, the tumor, the thromboembolism, the hemorrhage and the infection, bacterial and virus, it also causes the same damage to the brain as well as the spinal cord or any part of the brain. Then we were discussing the last part, that is subarachnoid hemorrhage. So subarachnoid hemorrhage lies in the subarachnoid space. So this is the subarachnoid space. So in this space, we know there lie the blood vessels. That is the arteries and the veins which are supplying the brain. They are all passing in the CSF. And these arteries and veins, they branches of the artery, they enter into the brain, gray and white matter at right angle to the surface, and they are the end arteries. So they get ruptured. The cause of the rupture is mainly that is called high blood pressure, hypertension, and second is the aneurysm. So they are the main causes of the subarachnoid hemorrhage, or what is called the cerebral hemorrhage. So with the hemorrhage, what happens? That the CSF plus blood, its volume increases, and as we know, the CSF is present inside the ventricular system of the brain, as well as it is surrounding the brain as a subarachnoid space. So in both the cases, it remains outside as well as inside. Same CSF mixed with the blood also goes to the central canal of the spinal cord. So because of this, what happens? The intracranial pressure increases. And because of the intracranial pressure increases, what happens? That the lateral ventricles, which are C-shaped in geometry, now they are dilated. And due to the dilatation, it will press on the falx cerebri, which will be shifted towards the opposite side. So this is called the midline shift. So when we see the MRI or the CT scan of the patient after the hemorrhage, what we see, that there is a white spot is there somewhere. So where the bleeding is there, so in the CT scan, the blood comes as a white spot. Depending upon the area or size of this white spot, we make the prognosis whether patient will recover or it may end into death. So because of the enlargement of all the lateral ventricles, cerebral aqueduct, as well as the third ventricle, fourth ventricle, it has got a pressure effect on the gray and white matter of the brain. And because of the pressure, they won't act, or the conduction in the neurons will be blocked because of the excessive or external pressure. Sometimes what happens, this subarachnoid hemorrhage, it leaks into the lateral ventricle. And because of this leakage, the ventricle becomes more dilated, more effaced, and it is a bad sign when the cerebral hemorrhage leads to the blood coming into the lateral ventricles So it is a bad prognostic sign. Patient is unconscious already, and because of the blood leaking into the ventricular system, there is a more enlargement, or the volume will be increasing. So because of the subarachnoid hemorrhage is all around the brain, so brain is having external pressure, and because of the external pressure created by the intracerebral or intracranial hemorrhage, so what happens, the ill effect of this is the herniation. Herniation can occur now. Patient is having a severe headache because whole of the subarachnoid space is filled with the blood, and there is external pressure on the surface of the cerebrum from all the sides. So not only the cerebrum, cerebellum may be involved. All the blood vessels supplying the cerebellum may also rupture. The medulla may be involved. All the vertebral arteries, anterior spinal artery, ICA and PICA, so all can rupture because of the high blood pressure, and cerebellum is also having the same pressure effect. So because of the pressure effect, what happens from all the sides? The patient complained of the severe headache with vomiting and vertigo, and patient becomes unconscious, and he may go into the coma and the death. So that is the ill effect of the subarachnoid hemorrhage. Now the blood, if it is small in amount, is reabsorbed. If a small artery is ruptured, then this blood ultimately gets reabsorbed in the body as we got the contusion anywhere. So after 7 days it disappears. Same is inside the brain also. So whatever blood has come out in any tissue of the human body, there is a property that it is reabsorbed or it disintegrates, it undergoes catabolism, RBC, WBC, every content of this serum, everything, plasma. So it is reabsorbed. So same is happening, but in the brain or in the CSF it takes a long time. Here it is only taking 7 to 10 days. The bluish coloration, that is called contusion, disappear. But in the brain it may take 2 months or 6 months, depending upon the size of the hematoma. In the CT scan, we at least explain to the patient relatives that this is the condition. So herniation, what happens, that whole of the brain is external pressure is there, and because of the external pressure from all the sides, anteriorly, laterally, posteriorly, it try to go out from the cranial cavity, and in the cranial cavity there is only foramen magnum. So whole of the brain try to go out of it. You know, brain is very soft. So because of the external pressure, brain try to exit from the foramen magnum, but it can't go. Only the medulla part, which is already the content of foramen magnum. And what is the full name of the medulla? Medulla oblongata. Why it is called oblongata? Oblongata means, what is the meaning of oblongata? You are reading this medulla from your 9th +1 +2 standard. You don't know the meaning of oblong. So in the botany you have read the seeds, gram seed, maize, and any other seed, castor seed है syllabus में आज का. So what is the shape of the castor seed? Oblong in shape. First line. So castor seed is oblong in shape. Same is the medulla. As in the upper part it is broad, as you go down it becomes narrow at the level of foramen magnum. So it becomes the size of foramen magnum because it has to be continuous with the spinal cord. It has to be narrowed down, and it also like a electric bulb like. Shape is oblong as well as the bulb like. So when it goes downward or slips down from the foramen magnum, then all the areas of the fourth ventricle you have read, area postrema, pharyngeia, vomiting center, all other centers, cardiac center, respiratory center, they are all centrally controlled. Physiology people have told you. The central regulation of blood pressure, central regulation of the respiration, pneumatic center is there, respiratory center is there. So everything is lying in the medulla and the pons, and this is the lowest part of the brain which is going out of the foramen magnum. So they are more compressed now, and their function is deranged. As vital centers are present, so death is there. So whole of the brainstem try to go out of the foramen magnum. Midbrain is already a smallest part of the brain, 1 inch long and 1 inch broad. It is already very small. And pons and medulla, they become soft. So because of the gravity, they go down, and the brainstem becomes, the shape is like the cone like. So this is also called coning. In the CT scan report, it is written that there is a coning of the brainstem. It becomes the cone like as you eat the softie ice cream. So this is the shape of the brainstem. It tries to go out, and all the functions of the midbrain, pons and medulla is deranged. Zero. So there is a stretching of the brainstem down because of the pressure from all the sides into the foramen magnum. All the cranial nerves, they are all exiting from the various foramina you must be having knowing. Because today your substage also we will ask you all the foramens of the cranial cavity and what passes through them. So see the foramen on the skull. All the foramens, if you see from above or below, they are sharp edge. Their edge is very sharp. Foramen ovale or spinosum or any foramen you choose and see. So because of this external pressure on the brain, so there will be stretching on the nerves also, and nerves will be damaged or cut because of this. So a wide range of the problems are there. The patient becomes sick and unconscious, and death is there. If vagus nerve is involved or all other nerves which are vital, they will be involved, because the cranial nerves has got the pressure effect not only in the brain. So this is called the herniation of the brain when it comes out of the foramen magnum. And what is the definition of the hernia? So whenever the content of one cavity of the human body goes into another cavity. In the abdomen, next we will go into detail of what is hernias. So from the cranial cavity, the brain is going into the spinal cord or spinal canal of the vertebral canal. So again, this is the hernia. Other parts of the hernia or other parts of the brain beside this brainstem, cerebrum is very big size, and the part of this gyrus on the medial surface. What is the name of this gyrus? Above the callosal sulcus. What is the sulcus on the medial surface? This is C, this is C, this is C, this is C. Luckily, easy to remember, on the medial surface, all the sulci names start from C. So above, which is starting from the parietal lobe and going into the frontal lobe, what is the name of this C? Which sulcus? Question will be asked, draw and label the sulci and gyri of the cerebrum, then you have to label everything. And you are blank now sitting. This is cingulate sulcus. Just above and parallel to the corpus callosum is the callosal sulcus. In the temporal lobe medial surface, the sulcus is called collateral sulcus. from the occipital pole, the sulcus is coming to meet with the collateral is called calcarine sulcus, or C, C and C. So, and below this cingulate sulcus, this gyrus is called cingulate gyrus. So, because of the pressure on it from all the sides, what will happen? This cingulate sulcus will try to go because this is a falx cerebri. So just touching the medial surface of falx cerebri, here lies the cingulate. So cingulate sulcus is trying to coming. A small gap is present between the lower border of the falx cerebri and the corpus callosum. So this cingulate gyrus of the cerebrum try to herniate below the lower border of the falx cerebri to the opposite side. So again, this is a hernia. It is coming from right to left or vice versa. So cingulate gyrus is the one gyrus which undergo what is called herniation. In the subarachnoid hemorrhage, the ill effect of the subarachnoid hemorrhage is because the CSF is now filled already, plus blood, the volume increases, the pressure increases. So they are all the sign symptoms of intracranial pressure increase. So it leads to the herniation. It leads to the midline shift. So midline shift of the falx cerebri or other structures of the brain is a bad sign of the prognosis. Patient is going to die. So in the herniation, first is the cingulate herniation. Second is the uncal herniation. So what is uncus? It is present on the inferior surface of the cerebrum. Make a big kidney and above is the suprarenal gland. What you have made? Inferior surface of cerebrum. And here is a small sulcus medially, which is called rhinal sulcus. And just above here, small gyrus is there, that is called uncus. So it lies near the midline between the two cerebral hemispheres. So because of the pressure of the cerebrospinal fluid or the intra-subarachnoid hemorrhage, what happens? The small gyrus, that is called the uncus, will also go on the opposite side. There is a herniation. These are the parts of the cerebrum or the brain which is herniation. You must know, anybody asks you, not whole of brain but the certain. So this is uncal herniation. Then in the posterior cranial fossa, now cerebellum is lying below the tentorium cerebelli. So there is a pressure on it also. So cerebellar fossa is very narrow. So because of the external pressure, what happens? Cerebellum is very big. Foramen magnum is lying very near to the cerebellum. So cerebellum cannot go through this foramen magnum. So a part of the vermis, which is very small, will go under herniation. It try to go into the foramen magnum, and name of that part of vermis is called tonsil. So two cerebral hemispheres, they are joined by not white matter, they are joined by grey matter, and that grey matter is called vermis. It has got two parts, superior and inferior. So tonsil is the one of the part of the vermis which will go through the foramen magnum. So these points has to be kept in mind, that which part of the brain is first of all going to the hernia, herniation, or medulla oblongata is already there. So medulla oblongata, the whole of it is going because it is already outside. All other parts of the cerebrum or the brain, they are secondary after the coning occurs. So such type of the injuries occur due to the intracranial hemorrhage. Despite the falx cerebri or tentorium cerebri, which are protecting the brain, but they are also damaging the brain if there is a violent type of the head injury occurs. So whenever there is a roadside accident or in the car or vehicle accident, what happens? That there is a jumping of the person. So with the jumping of the person, what happens? So brain inside will also jump with the sudden breakage of the vehicle in the bus or train or in the car. So the vertex is the highest point. So inside the vertex there is a brain. So when it goes up, so brain also goes with the head. And the superior surface of the cerebrum, both, it will strike against the inner side of vault of the skull, inner side surface of norma verticalis, and there may be laceration, there may be contusion injuries, because there is the upward movement of the brain in the closed skull. Similarly, in the upward movement, the corpus callosum also moves up, also jump up, and where it will touch? Lower sharp border of falx cerebri. If the injury is so much violent that this sharp lower border of the falx cerebri may cut the corpus callosum in the midline, like the happy birthday today, because it is sickle-like. So sickle will cut everything. So such type of the injuries has been found in the CT scan whenever a patient comes and we try to find the cause of death. So we explain to the relatives that this was the cause, because of the jumping of the person on the seat before he met the death. Same with the cerebellum. Cerebellum also moves up, but above there is a tentorium cerebelli. So because of the horizontal sheet of the dura mater, cerebellum also strike against the tentorium. Again there will be contusion or laceration of the cerebellar and vermis. So these are the type of the mechanics which is happening during the accidental injuries of the cerebrum, or broadly speaking whole of the brain. So this is the herniation. You should know what is herniation of the brain and what are the causes. So this finishes with the applied anatomy related to the cranial cavity. Now we will do the last part of the